Hi everyone, welcome to this short series on MERN stack authentication and deployment. In this series we will see how authentication works and later on we will deploy our app to Heroku. So here I am in my project directory and I have already created a React application with create React app. And I have installed two packages, Axios and React Router DOM for navigation. So these are our routes. There will be a register page, login page and home page. Let me show you the application. So this is how it looks like. This is the registration page, this is login page, and once the user is login, he will be redirected to this home page. So let's start with our project. First of all, let's work on backend. So initialize packet.json, create our entry file index.js, and now we will install a few packages. Express, Mongoose, bcrypt.js for password hashing, JSON web token for authentication, and .env for our environment variables. I will also install NodeMon as dev dependency. Now let's add start script. And NodeMon. So in our index.js file, first of all we will bring Express. Now let's add body parser. This will be needed when we deploy our app on Heroku. So right now in development we will be listening our server on port 5000. Now we will add database and we will use Mongodb Atlas as our database. So go to mongodb.com and create an account if you already don't have one, or sign in. So if it's your first time using Mongodb Atlas, then you will have to build clusters. So let's go and build a cluster. Continue. And here you can choose plans. We will go with free one. You can select cloud provider and region from there. I will be using the default one, AWS and North Virginia. You can rename your cluster here, but I will be using this. Create cluster. Now it will take some time, so I will pause the video here. Okay, so the cluster is built. Let's connect. So here are some options you will have to choose. First, add a connection IP address. So this is basically whitelisting an IP. If you want your current IP address only to access this database, then go for this one. Any other specified IP address, I will go with allow access from anywhere. After that, we have to create database user. So let's give it a name and password, and then create database user. Now click on choose a connection method and click on connect your application. So select your driver and version. This will be Node.js, and then copy this path. Here I will create .env file and paste our path. So this is our username, and the password will go here. Mine was admin, and then the database name, whatever you would like to call it. I will call it auth. Save it. Let's require .env here. .env.config. Now let's connect our database. For that we will have to require mongoose also. Mongoose dot connect, and we will access our db path process.env dot this mongo URI. And as second argument we will pass some options to avoid deprecated mourning given by mongoose. Let's add .then and .catch. Now let's test our server if everything is working fine. Okay, so the server is connected and database is also connected. So now let's define a user model here. Create a folder called models, and then inside user.js we will require mongoose. Let's create a schema. So there will be 3 fields: name, email and password. Let's add timestamps also and export this model. I will call it user and point it to user schema. Now I'll create a route folder, and inside routes user.js file, and let's add it inside index.js. app.use. So it will work like our URL, for example localhost 5000, then /auth, and then the URL we will specify in our routes file. Require ./routes/user. Okay, so because there is nothing in user here, so let's require express router. And our user model. Now let's go for register for user. So this will be a post request. No, this is router. Let's export this router. Router.post, and the route will be /auth and then /register. So I will use async await. First of all, let's destructure name, email and password from request.body. Now let's add try catch. So first of all, we will check for existing email in our database. If the email user entered is already registered, then we will not allow to register with that email again. Let user equals to await user dot find one, and we will find by email. If there is already an email, then we will return error. .json error, user already exists. If the email is not already registered, then we will hash the password so that we don't store the plain text password in our database. So for that we will require bcrypt. We have already installed this package. So here we will say constant hashed password equals to await bcrypt.hash, and it will take two arguments, plain text password and salt. So the plain text password will be coming from body, and we have already destructured it, and let's provide salt to 10. Now we'll create new user instance, user equals to new user, and we will provide name, email, and the password will be the hashed password, not the plain one. After that we will save the user, await user.save, and then let's return a message, rest.status 201.json message user created successfully. Now let's work on logging the user in. Router.post, it will be post request to /auth/login. Let's grab email and password from request.body and destructure it. After that, try and catch error.message. So here again we will find user by email, but in this case if we don't find the user, then we will return error, because we are trying to log in the email which doesn't already exist. So let user equals to await user dot find one, and we will find it by email. If not user, then we will return error. And we will say invalid credentials. And if this case is not true and the user is found, then we will compare the password. Const is match equals to await, and we will say, and here we will say bcrypt dot compare, and it will take two arguments, the plain text password and the hashed password which is in our database. So the plain text password is just password, and the hash password will be coming from user.password. So here we will again check if the password is matched or not. If not is matched, then we will return the same error, invalid credentials. If user found and password is matched, then we will log in with the user. Now we will sign the token. When we visit protected routes, we will need to send the token in our headers. So let's bring JSON web token, and here we will say const token equals to jwt.sign. Now it will take payload and some option. So the payload will be our user's ID. So it will be an object underscore ID and user dot underscore ID. And second argument will be secret. So in our .env file, let's add another variable jwt secret, and let's require it here process.env.jwt secret. And here let's add expires in time, and we will give it 1 hour. So when user is found and the password is matched, we will sign a token to authorize the user, so that this user can go to any protected routes which require logging user. So let's return res.json. Let's just return token. So let's try this route. We have registered with test, make a post request to login. Actually select JSON from here. Okay, the server is not running, I guess. Yes. No. npm run server. Let's try again. So this is the token we got back, and we will set this token in headers when we visit the protected route. Actually, let's make it an object. So this is the token. So we have signed the token. Now we need to verify this token. So whenever user make the request to the protected route, if the token is verified, then he will be able to visit that route. So it will be a middleware. Let's add middleware here, and it will be an auth middleware. Let's require JSON web token here. So it is an authentication middleware. So we will export it. Export dot required login, request response next. Let's add try catch. So first of all, we will check if authorization is present in headers. So by this I mean, when we go here to headers, we will have to say authorization and then our token here. So we will say if request.headers.authorization. If it's true, then we will grab the token. Const token equals to request.headers.authorization. So the way it works, we will have to provide authorization in headers, and the value will be bearer. This will be in a string, and after that token, like this token. So let's split the token from this value, bearer and the token, and we will split it by empty space, and then it will be bearer and then the token. So we will grab the second one. We only need the token here. Now let's verify the token. Const tcode equals to jwt.verify, and it will take the token and our jwt secret. So the token will be this, and jwt secret will come from .env file, process.env.jwt secret. Now let's attach the token to request, and we will say request.user equals to decode, and after that we will call next to pass the control to the next function. So first of all, we check if authorization is present in the headers. If it's true, then we are grabbing the token from authorization, and after that we are verifying the token if it's valid or not. So if it's valid, then we are attaching the token to every request.user our token, this verified token, and then we have passed the control to the next function. In case if the token is not valid, then we will return error res.status 400.json. message unauthorized. So to test it out, let's create a protected route. It will be router.get/auth and then just slash async request response. Let's set try catch. Let's find the user by ID. So we will say const user equals to user.find by ID, and we will make this protected route. So for that we will have to use our auth middleware here. Let's bring it on. It will be from middleware /middleware/auth required login. So after our URL we will provide the required login here, and if user is login then it will run, otherwise it will not run. So this is what this next function is doing. So now we have attached our authentication middleware here. So we will have access to this request.user. So we will find id request.user.id. Let me console log it what request.user is. Let's just don't select the password. So we will say password res.json user. So this is the protected route. So we will have to be logged in to access this route. So let's try it without logging in. Get request to localhost/auth. So we have got the message unauthorized because we have not provided token here, and this message came from our middleware, this else block, because this condition is false. Okay, so let's log in and then try again. So now I am logged in and I am grabbing the token from here. Let's provide it inside header. The key will be authorization and the token will be bearer space and then the token. Now let's try it out. I think there is a problem. Let's see. Okay, so this is our console log request.user, which we have done here. So we have request.user.id. We found the user by ID, and yes, we have not sent await here, so that was the error. Let's try again. So now we have got the user back. This is our ID, username, email, and then created and updated it. We are only getting this response back because we have provided the valid token in headers. So I guess that's it for our backend. In the next video we will be working on front end.